Hey gang, Stand Tall Steve here with the Stand Tall Leadership Show. Now, this episode is just me. It's a little bit of a mix of an episode because this is our last episode for the season, for this season. And I kind of do my season based off of the school year. We start around August, September, and we roll it through to the end of May, beginning of June. And then we take off the most of June into July, doing summer things, a lot of conferences and things such as that. And then we kick it back off again in the end of August. With this is actually the last episode of the Stand Tall Leadership Show ever. And maybe I might bring Stand Tall Leadership Show back in a different way. But as far as I know, this is the last one because we're renaming, we're relaunching this podcast. We're changing the name. And I mentioned in the previous podcast that we were going to do this. So here it is, the new name, the new focus of this show, this podcast, this video, this channel, everything. It is no longer the Stand Tall Leadership Show. It is, drum roll, right? Boom. It is the School Culture and Climate Show. School Culture and Climate Show. It just makes sense, right? It makes sense. That's what we talk about in this episode and all the things that we've done. We talk about school culture and climate. Yes, we wrap it around leadership and how leaders can do that. But if you've noticed, and if you've listened to any of the episodes before, that's the anchor to everything that it is that we do. We looked at some of the logistics. We looked at some of the data from the different videos that I've done, the different podcasts that I've done, the different blogs that I've done. And the thing that resonates the most with everyone is whenever we mention school, culture, and climate. It gets more views on YouTube. It gets more downloads for the podcast. It gets more views on the blog when it's about school, culture, and climate. Because I know, and you know, that culture and climate is everything. That's what makes everything happen or not make everything happen within the school. We want to talk about leadership. Let's have leadership that revolves around culture and climate. If we want to talk about the achievement gap, let's improve culture and climate first. We want to talk about instructional strategies. Let's get to the culture and climate first. We want to talk about classroom management. Let's get to climate and culture right. So everything revolves around that. So we're doing that. So the new name of this is going to be, as I said, the School Culture and Climate Show. And that's what's going to be, we're going to call that on the YouTube. We're going to call it on our blog, all those different things. The podcast specifically is going to be that. You're still going to see my video on the Stand Tall Steve channel on YouTube and things such as that. But if you're watching this video, if you're liking the new name, please go to the chat. Let me know if you like the new name or not, if you think that it makes sense. I have a friend of mine. She's an educator in France. She's an educator in France. And I had mentioned to her about the name change, and she says, "Oh, you need something spicy, something exciting, But I found that, and I told her it needs to be exactly what it is. When people are looking for it, they want to know exactly what they're listening to. So sometimes you have some really fancy names out there, but I want people to say, "Hey, I want a podcast. I want a blog, information about school culture and climate. I want a podcast about that." So you type in school culture climate. This needs to show up. This needs to show up. So that's what it is that we're doing with that. I'm really excited about that. Meg is going to be back with us in our new season. She really has done a phenomenal job with the Stand Tall Leadership Show and now with the School Culture and Climate Show, giving that classroom perspective. As you know, she's a classroom teacher. I was a classroom teacher, but most of my career was as an administrator. So this way we get both of those dynamics and we really connect well with each other so that we can give you that information. Now, what led up to this and the name change, I told you a little bit about that, also has to do with what my next book is going to be. I'm in the process of writing it now. Hopefully it'll come out within the next several months or so. But I have no problem letting people know that the title, the working title right now for it is The Educator's Guide to Improving Climate and Culture in Schools. The Educator's Guide to Improving Climate and Culture in Schools. And I'm really excited about that. And the subtitle for that is In the Classroom, in the Building, in the District. I'm really excited about it. So it really dives into not only understanding what climate and culture is in schools, but what the educator can do to improve it. Not only in the classroom, improve the climate and culture, but in the school, improve climate and culture, and then in the district, it's going to give you those dynamics in all of those areas. And we felt that that could kind of connect well with the podcast, could connect well with videos, it could connect with everything, because that's what people want. That's what educators really want. They want that environment that is really conducive to that learning, and a great environment so teachers can teach and students can learn. Now, over the last season of the Stand Tall Leadership Show, we touched on a lot of great things that really focused in and zoomed in on climate and culture in schools. So for the remainder of this episode, what I'm going to do is we're going to go back in time and revisit some of those great episodes, some of those things that we talked about as it relates to school culture and climate. So one of the first ones that came to mind is the episode that we had in September where we talked about compliance versus commitment. Compliance versus commitment. How schools are so compliance-based, but yet we need to move past just being compliant to having people committed to what you respect and value. And therefore, compliance will take care of itself. So here's a little section on compliance versus commitment, that episode. Compliance versus commitment. The two C's, back to back. Now, when you hear compliance and commitment, your mind is probably already going like, man, this is going to be a good one, right? This is something that's really neat. First of all, let's talk about education in general, how education, schools are very compliance driven. When we're talking about compliance, it is necessary to have compliance. You have to have it. You do. I'm not sitting here to say that compliance is a bad thing. You have to have rules, you have to have expectations, you have to have guides. So therefore, we have a framework to work within. But the mindset, let's go back to the emotional side of compliance, the mindset of people who are in compliance, it only goes so far, the work that could be done. When work needs to get done, when instruction needs to get done, when policies need to be developed, or you need to sit down and do work, or you need to focus in on something in a school, if you have a mindset of being committed, I think you're going to go above and beyond the outcomes that would be if you were just compliant. When you're committed, you have to be committed to something. All right, compliance means, here you go, do this. Committed means that you're committed to something. There is something that you're committed to. Now, a lot of cases we said we're committed to the kids. That's good, but let's narrow that down. Now, when you're committed to those things, committed to the lesson, committed to the standards, committed to all those things, then you're going to do whatever is necessary to make that happen. You're going to be thinking more creatively. You're going to be dissecting and connecting and figuring out, investigating how to get those outcomes, how to make the best for those things. All right, now another one of the great episodes that we had from the Stand Tall Leadership Show, shifting over to the School Culture and Climate Show, is we had an episode that really talked about the power of reflection and reflecting on what it is that you're doing to help you better set yourself up to move forward in a better way. We had this episode, I believe it might have been in December, middle of December, where we talked about reflection. We thought that time was good because that was the end of the calendar year. And a lot of times people reflect on their overall year, calendar year, and what they can do to move forward. And we really dove into that as it relates to schools, you personally in your educational journey as well. So here is that episode from December on reflection, personal reflection and reflecting. And I agree with you. I think this is a great time of year to do this for two different reasons. One, because it's the end of the calendar year, and I think that it makes sense that people do that. They think back over the year and see how they're doing, what went well, what didn't go well, have that reflection. The other reason why I think it is really a great thing, because as it relates to the school year, this is a winter break. This is where you've already had the first part. The second half of the year is coming up. It's a little bit longer, yes, but I think it's a great time that you can readjust, change, look at things a little bit different so that the remainder of your time in school for this school year can be as best and good as possible. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, even though it was called the Stand Tall Leadership Show, and we dealt with culture and climate and things like that, we did have an episode where we talked about the world of professional development and the world of professional speaking, educational speaking specifically, and what that was all about. We had a great event for within our ranks, which is training for educators who want to speak professionally. And we talked about it. We had a great event. We also talked about the pros and cons of educational speaking, some things that we liked and things that we definitely didn't like in educational speaking. And I'm sure that you guys can relate to it. So here is that episode that we did, I believe it was the beginning of February, on the world of professional educational speaking, pros and cons, the things that we liked from the Stand Tall Leadership Show. There you go. The focus of what we're doing now, we've been talking about within our ranks for so long, is training for educators who want to speak professionally. And this is an opportunity for educators who have experience, who have knowledge and understanding of content. You know that the world of education could be better, and you just don't know how. And you don't want to go through what we went through
No.
and how you started. And this gives you a jump start and support so that you can really make that happen. Now, public education or even private education, K through 12, because there's upper ed speaking, I mean, when you're in college, but K through 12 speaking is very, very different. Because most of the speakers in K through 12 education, what are they? They're bad.
Yeah, I don't know how else to say it.
Let's do two things. What makes a bad educational presentation, and then what makes a good educational presentation, all right? The bad things. I'll start. I'll go for one and then you go for one,
okay,
all right?
Okay.
One thing that I can't stand is an opener. I think it's bad. When they open, well, I'm so glad to be here. It's really good that you guys could be, it's, you know, just having me here, you're wasting time.
Don't care.
We don't care.
We have to be here.
We read the bio. We have to be here. Who cares? Who cares? Come with a good opener. Grab some attention right away. That's mine. What's one for you?
Okay. Slides. Stopped Google slide default. Can't read the print. Too much. Small pictures. Can't hear the video. I just, you know, you gotta have that.
Get it together. Please.
Yeah.
There are amazing AI templates now. Just use an AI template. Canva.
Yes.
There's so many different things. If nothing else, for the photos, like if you have images, make them fill the whole page and then put some of your words over top of them.
And you don't need a lot.
No.
You don't need a lot of slides.
No, you don't need a lot of slides. You don't need a lot of slides.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get another one. Stories. Not having any stories. There's some people go up there, just content. Even if it's a workshop. Stories, what did it say? What's the statement? Stories is the currency for life.
Ooh.
Stories is a currency for life. I think it was Patricia Fripp who said something like that. If you're at a story, if you're making a point, you're getting something across, you've got a concept, you grab a story, people are going to lean in.
Yeah.
Even if you're not great at saying a story, try. You're saying a story, it just makes all the difference.
Well, and it just connects.
It connects to you.
And you remember.
Yes. Because what do they always say? People don't always remember what you taught them, but they remember how to make you feel. Stories make you feel. All right. We also talked about, we're back again, wrapping this up for some really great things we talked about in the school culture, the Stand Tall Leadership Show. I'll keep going. I'm already going to the new name for everything. But we really talked about a part that was the other part of February. It was the latter part of February. We were talking about the stretch. So the stretch of time in education is from January to March. There's not a lot of time away from school, holidays or vacations and stuff until you get to your spring break. And it's kind of the stretch of time where we're diving in deep because we know state testing's coming. We've gone through the first part of the year. We've set the groundwork. Now is the time to really dig into new content, new understandings, reaffirm what the students know, but it is daunting. So we talked a little bit about the stretch and what we can do to get through that. So here's a little bit dealing with that episode, the stretch. Stretch is basically January until spring break. It's that stretch. Yeah. Now, I know that by the time this comes out, it's what, probably mid-February, March or so, but you're deep into it. You're deep into the stretch, the length, all of that. So March, the month of March. I mean, come on. There's no breaks. If there are breaks, I don't know of what they are, but March is a tough month. You are going full throttle on. State testing's about to come, spring break's about to, we can't hope to get there. The kids are sick of the teachers are sick of the kids. You've been cooped up with each other, but it is also the time that a lot of great stuff can happen. You could really make some impact. You could really move to the next level during this time of the stretch.
For me in the classroom, my goal is to try to bring in more excitement into my teaching, a little more humor, finding those experiences that are going to kind of drag them in a little bit further, gets me more excited to get out of bed and go every day. So kind of just finding like a new way to teach them in that weird time of the year.
Yeah. And then instead of having a negative attitude about it, try some innovation things, and plus this is the time where you basically are going to have clearly a month to even a month and a half to maybe 2 months of uninterrupted instructional time. And as much as we sometimes get an attitude like, oh my gosh, I'm still here, no, this is what you signed up for, people. Is it not? Did you not? Usually when I go out and I do my classroom management or whatever it is with teachers, I say, what is the one thing that you want to do more than anything? And all the teachers always say in unison, teach. We just want to teach. Please just let me teach. Well, this is it. All right, let's wrap this up, gang. Hopefully I gave you some good stuff from the past episodes from the Stand Tall Leadership Show. And we also talked about one called You Are Not Alone. That was I think kind of like the title for that one. This was an episode in May, the beginning of May. And talk about you're not alone. This can be tough. We know that this could be a tough time in education. You feel like you're being drugged down a lot, but you need to keep yourself motivated, upbeat, focused in. So here's a little bit from that episode in May of You Are Not Alone. Everyone feels that what they're dealing with in their school or their district is just them, and it's not just them.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, and it's always not happy. It's not great, but there's ways that you can make it better. And I think that's the main crux of everything that I know that I'm trying to push out.
Right. And I think the beauty of it is the ways that Steve brings in for his ideas is that they're simple. They're simple things that you could have yourself, a couple of your team members that are on board to kind of change the climate and the culture in your building, just with a couple of you.
Yeah, with a couple of you. And it's the thing. Sometimes you feel like, we've had a lot of people come to me like, well, I'm just the only one in my school that does this, or, there's just me and a couple of teachers that do this, or we feel this way, or the environment's toxic, or, everybody's just so negative. It is possible for you to continue to be that one, that shining light, that one who's positive, that keeps it going. Because the others, they're going to, they may want to bring you down. Misery loves company. They say that all the time. But having just simple things that you do to make connections with people, to help students, to help yourself mentally be positive and keep moving and do the right work because you're in this because you love it. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think if you are the person that's trying to implement some of those simple ideas like a birthday wall or joke of the day, it's amazing how your other colleagues or the people are seeing that and they're like, oh, actually, that is kind of cool. And they almost want to like get on board with it, takes them out of their misery, if you will, kind of changes their perspective a little bit. And there you have it, another person on your team.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're going into these spaces and I'm speaking and you're providing ideas and understanding. And for those of you who are out there who have done PD or you've gone and talked to other people or if you've done things like this, you get this, all right? And it's almost like you're giving people permission to think that way. You're giving people permission to be positive. And that's in one way that's happy, but it is also sad in that I'm giving you permission to be positive. It is okay to be creative. It is okay to be happy. It is okay to say nice things to children. It is okay to say nice things to other colleagues.
You can smile in your school building.
Yes. Here's the thing that I said it's in my ideas session. I said it twice, and it's the first time I've ever said it in my presentation. You don't need administrative permission to be nice. I will say that again. You do not need administrative permission to be nice. Hey, gang. Thank you so much for all your time with the Stand Tall Leadership Show. We've had, I believe this is 4 seasons of this. You know, we're rocking and rolling with 4 seasons of it. We're going to continue on. We're just changing the name to the School Climate and Culture Show. Same great content, great information, great knowledge. And I just want to know, if you've been a listener of the Stand Tall Leadership Show over the past 4 seasons, was there a certain episode that you liked more than another one? Was there certain information that you thought was spot on, that was good? Please, in the comments, please let us know what that was. What episode was it that really resonated with you really well, that you can go back to and listen to again and again, or, you know, it really hit home with something? We really love to hear that. Moving forward, hey, if you are interested in any way being a guest on the School Culture and Climate Show, reach out to us. We're going to start bringing guests back in and having some people that we can talk with as well, and not only give our insights on things, but also bring a few guests in there. If you're interested in us, please reach out to Steven, STEVEN, at standtallsteve.com. Just email me. Let me know. Put something in the comments. If you're interested in any way being a guest, we can have a discussion, see what that's all about. So sayonara, see you later. Thank you so much for all your time with the Stand Tall Leadership Show. We're excited to bring in the School Culture and Climate Show. All right. Have a wonderful, amazing summer, gang. And we will see you, Meg and I both, in August. Take care.